$19 a month for unlimited washes. You do the math in your head, you wash your car twice a week. That's 8 washes a month. And suddenly you're paying less than $2.50 per wash instead of the $12 they charge at the door. You feel like you've beaten the system, and here's the uncomfortable truth. The car wash knew you'd feel that way before you even signed up, because that feeling is the entire business model. This isn't really a car wash industry anymore. It's a membership industry that happens to use water and soap as the product you see. And once you understand that, every decision the company makes, from the location they pick, to the tunnel speed, to the guy standing at the entrance with an iPad instead of a cash register, starts to make a different kind of sense. Let's start with the number nobody advertises. The average subscriber washes their car far less than they think. Industry data on membership car washes consistently shows the average paying member uses their unlimited plan somewhere between 2 and 4 times a month. Not 8, not 16, 2 to 4. That means the person paying $19 or $29 a month is often paying something closer to $7 or $8 per actual wash, which is still a discount off the drive-up price, sure, but nowhere near the unlimited fantasy that got them to sign the membership in the first place. And a meaningful slice of subscribers use it even less than that. There's a name for this in subscription businesses generally, borrowed straight from the gym industry: breakage. Breakage is the gap between what a customer paid for and what a customer actually consumes. At a car wash, breakage looks like the guy who signed up in April because his car was covered in pollen, used it 4 times that month, felt busy in May, forgot in June, and by August he's still being charged $29 for a service he hasn't used in 10 weeks. He hasn't canceled, not out of loyalty, but out of the same quiet inertia that keeps people paying for gym memberships and streaming services they don't open. That inertia is not an accident of human nature the business happens to benefit from. It is, in a very real sense, the product being sold on the back end. Here's why that math matters so much to the operator. A single wash through the tunnel, water, reclaimed and treated, plus soap, plus wax chemical, plus the electricity to run the conveyor and blowers, costs the business somewhere in the neighborhood of $1 to $2 in marginal, variable cost per car. That's it. The equipment is already paid for, the building is already built, the 1 or 2 employees on shift are being paid whether 10 cars come through or 200. So every additional wash a subscriber runs through the tunnel costs the company pennies on the dollar, which means heavy users are barely a problem, but light users and non-users are pure, almost frictionless profit. A member paying $29 a month who washes 0 times that month isn't marginally profitable. They're close to 100% margin because the business incurred essentially no cost to serve them at all. This is the exact same mechanical trick that made gym memberships famous, except car washes have quietly built an even cleaner version of it, because unlike a gym, a car wash has almost no seasonal excuse to cancel built into the product. Nobody feels guilty about not going to the gym in the same visceral way they feel about a dirty car sitting in the driveway. The dirt is visible. It nags at you, which keeps the subscription alive in your mind as something I should use long after you've stopped actually using it. So how did the industry land on this model in the first place? Go back about 15 years, and most car washes were single transaction businesses. You paid per visit, the owner hoped you'd come back, and revenue was brutally weather dependent. Rain for 2 weeks straight, and revenue could fall off a cliff, because a dirty car in the rain doesn't feel urgent to clean. That volatility is exactly what made the industry ripe for a subscription overhaul, because a membership base converts a weather-dependent, unpredictable revenue stream into something that looks a lot more like a utility bill. Whether it rains for 3 weeks or the sun shines every day, the subscription revenue hits the bank account on the same schedule. That predictability is worth an enormous amount to an operator, and it's worth even more to the investors who've been buying these businesses. And that's the part of the story that rarely makes it into the marketing. Subscription car washes have become one of the more aggressively consolidated small business categories in the country over the past decade, with private equity firms and larger regional chains buying up independent, family-run washes specifically because of that recurring revenue math. A single location wash that does 2,000 memberships at $25 a month isn't just making $50,000 a month in revenue. To a buyer, it's a predictable, contract-like cash flow stream. And predictable cash flow gets valued at a much higher multiple than one-off transactions ever would. That's the same logic that made gym chains and pest control companies attractive acquisition targets. The car wash you drive past every day might look like a mom-and-pop operation with a friendly name on the sign, but increasingly, the entity actually collecting your monthly charge is a private equity-backed platform that owns dozens or hundreds of locations across several states, running the exact same membership playbook at every single one. Now let's talk about the real estate, because this is where the business model gets a layer most people never think about. A modern express tunnel wash needs a specific kind of lot, high traffic count, easy in and out access, enough land for stacking cars during peak hours. Those lots aren't cheap, and building a tunnel with reclaim systems, blowers, and conveyor equipment can run well into the millions of dollars per location. That upfront capital cost is exactly why the subscription model isn't optional for a modern operator. It's structurally necessary. You cannot finance a multi-million-dollar tunnel build on the hope that enough people randomly decide to pay $12 for a one-time wash on a given Tuesday. You finance it on the promise of thousands of members automatically paying whether they show up or not. The subscription isn't just a pricing choice, it's the only thing that makes the capital structure of the entire business work. So who actually loses money on their membership? Mathematically, it's the person who washes twice a month or less but never gets around to canceling, and surveys of subscription car wash customers suggest that's a meaningful chunk of the member base, often estimated at somewhere between a quarter and a third of subscribers at any given time. Who wins? The person who genuinely washes weekly or more, who lives somewhere with harsh winters and road salt, or dusty rural roads, or a job that keeps their car filthy. For them, the unlimited plan is a legitimate, mathematically sound deal, and there's nothing predatory about that. This isn't a story about a scam. It's a story about a pricing model that's brilliant specifically because it works differently depending on your behavior, and most companies are betting, correctly, based on the data, that human behavior skews toward underuse, not overuse. Let's go deeper into the churn side, because this is where a lot of the real profit engineering happens. Car wash memberships typically see monthly churn rates in the mid-single digits. Somewhere around 5 to 8% of members canceling in any given month sounds small, but compounded over a year, that means a business might lose 40 to 60% of its membership base annually if it did nothing to replace them, which means the entire growth engine of these businesses isn't really about retention, it's about acquisition outpacing churn. That's why you see so many unlimited wash locations running aggressive first month free or first wash for $1 promotions at the pay station. They are not primarily trying to win over that one driver in that one moment. They are running a volume acquisition funnel because they know statistically that a certain percentage of every batch of new signups will convert into exactly the kind of low-usage, high-margin member the business quietly depends on. There's also a psychological piece worth naming because it's baked directly into the sign-up screen. Most subscription car washes default new members into the mid-tier or top-tier plan rather than the cheapest option, framing it as best value with a small daily cost breakdown. Less than $1 a day reads very differently than $29 a month, even though it's the same number. That framing works because it invites you to compare the subscription against your daily coffee or lunch spending rather than against your actual car washing habits, which is a comparison almost guaranteed to make the subscription look cheap regardless of whether you'll use it enough to justify it. Now, cancellation friction is worth a mention too, purely as part of the mechanics, without moralizing about it. Many membership car washes require you to cancel in person or through a specific request rather than a simple app toggle, a structural choice that, intentionally or not, adds a small delay between the moment someone decides to cancel and the moment the cancellation actually takes effect. Even a delay of a few days can mean one more billing cycle captured. Multiply a few extra dollars of captured billing across tens of thousands of members across dozens of locations, and that small friction becomes a real calculable line on a monthly income statement, not villainous, just optimized, the same way a gym or a streaming service optimizes it. Let's zoom out to the equipment side, because the reclaim water system deserves its own explanation. It's one of the more genuinely clever parts of the model. Modern tunnel washes reclaim and reuse a significant portion of their rinse water, commonly somewhere around 60 to 85% depending on the system, filtering and recirculating it rather than pulling fresh water for every single car. That matters for two reasons. First, it keeps the variable cost per wash low, which is exactly what makes high-frequency members profitable rather than a drain. Second, it's become a genuine selling point in water-conscious regions, letting operators market themselves as more efficient than washing your car in your own driveway with a hose, which, water usage-wise, is frequently true. So part of the pitch to join isn't just convenience, it's a legitimate resource efficiency argument, layered right on top of the subscription economics. Labor is the other side of the cost equation, and it's leaner than most people picture. A fully automated express tunnel can run with as few as 2 to 4 employees on site at a time. Someone greeting cars and running the payment kiosk, someone doing quick manual touch-ups like wheels or bug removal, maybe someone managing the vacuum and dry area. Compare that to a traditional full-service hand wash, which might need 8 to 12 workers to hand dry and detail the same volume of cars. That labor gap is a huge part of why the express, subscription-based model has taken over so much of the industry over the last decade. It's not just about the recurring revenue, it's about a fundamentally lower cost structure per car processed, which then makes the low subscription price point mathematically sustainable in the first place. There's an upsell layer too, running quietly alongside the core subscription. Extra services, tire shine, undercarriage rinse, ceramic sealant, interior air freshener get offered at the kiosk screen as small add-ons, often for members and non-members alike. Individually, these look trivial, a few dollars here and there. But across thousands of transactions a month, at a single location, upsell attach rates of even 15 to 20% on a $5 add-on generate real supplemental revenue that doesn't require a single additional major expense, because the equipment and staff are already there running the base wash regardless. So when you zoom all the way out, here's the full shape of the model. The subscription converts unpredictable, weather-dependent, one-off transactions into predictable monthly revenue that can support a multi-million-dollar capital build. The marginal cost of an individual wash is low enough that heavy users barely dent profitability, while the natural human tendency toward underuse and subscription inertia, the same force that keeps gym memberships alive, quietly generates a large chunk of near-pure margin from members who signed up with good intentions and simply didn't keep the habit going. Acquisition is run like a funnel because churn is a known predictable cost of doing business, not a failure. Reclaimed water and lean automated labor keep the cost structure thin enough that even the aggressively discounted unlimited price still pencils out. And behind a growing share of the locations you actually drive past, there's often a multi-site operator or a private equity-backed platform that bought into the business specifically because recurring membership revenue is worth more, dollar for dollar, than one-time transaction revenue ever was. None of this means the $20 unlimited wash is a bad deal for plenty of people, especially anyone washing weekly or dealing with road salt, snow, or dust. It's a genuinely good one, cheaper than paying per visit and better for the paint than a driveway hose session. The math simply favors different people differently, and the business is built with full knowledge of exactly which group it profits most from. That's not a scandal. It's just the part of the sign that never gets printed next to the price. If breaking down the real math behind everyday businesses like this is interesting to you, subscribe for the next one, and if this changed how you'll look at that kiosk screen next time you pull in, hit like so more people see it.